They told you sex was simple, that you are either male or female, that the body is a machine of categories, wired cleanly, never failing, never blurring. They told you the world was built onto choices, to destines, to doors you could enter but never leave. But science, like desire, has a way of betraying certainty. Nature, like lust, has a way of mocking human rules. And so here we are, watching a kookaburra in the wild, a bird genetically coded as male, a creature stamped with ZZ chromosomes, stretch an oviduct and lay an egg. Against its genes, against its supposed destiny, a living rebellion, hidden in feathers and bone. One bird, one egg, a scandal carved into nature itself. If sex is binary, how does this exist? You want to believe you are safe in definitions, that chromosomes are law, that gonads never lie, that the body is honest while the mind is messy. But look closer. Across 5 species of wild Australian birds, 3 to 6% don't match their DNA. Genetically female birds with male gonads, males with stretched oviducts, hybrids of biology that don't belong anywhere except they do. And when you look across the animal kingdom, it's everywhere. Horses, cattle, mice, living bodies, breathing contradictions, proof that nature doesn't play by human rules. And what about us? What about the fragile architecture of human sex? 1% of the world's population lives in the spectrum of intersex. That's 80 million people, more than the population of Germany, twice the population of California. 80 million bodies that break the myth we worship. You can lock them away in silence, you can shame them into invisibility, you can drown their stories in purity culture and outdated science, but you cannot erase 80 million souls. Doctors whisper disorder, politicians scream binary, religions call it sin, but what science calls it is truth. The 3 Gs, genes, gonads, genitals, do not always match. The blueprint isn't flawless, it's fluid. Sometimes the Y chromosome carries no SRY gene and a boy grows into a girl. Sometimes 20 chromosomes grow testicles. Sometimes a body that looks female carries a surge of male hormones that shift the voice, the hair, the heat of desire. Sometimes a child grows fast, burns with early puberty, and ends up in between, neither one nor the other but both, layered, interwoven, uncontainable. You've been told that sex is a switch on or off, male or female, boy or girl. But the truth is not a switch. The truth is a spectrum that ripples through DNA, through hormones, through anatomy, through desire. A spectrum that is older than our language, wider than our fear. A spectrum written into the soil, the sky, the skin. And yet society panics. Because if sex is not a binary, then purity collapses. If sex is not a binary, then control collapses. If sex is not a binary, then what are we afraid of? That the lines we built between sacred and obscene, male and female, lover and forbiddance were never real to begin with? That the body is not a prison of categories, but a spectrum of infinite variation? That gender, lust, desire, all of it, was never about fitting into a box, but about the courage to exist between them? So when you hear the word intersex, don't imagine rarity. Imagine humanity. Imagine 80 million people breathing outside the prison of binary. Imagine birds laying eggs against their genes. Imagine the body whispering the truth you've been too afraid to say. The binary is a lie. And like all lies, it is fragile. Science doesn't lie. Nature doesn't lie. Desire doesn't lie. They speak in whispers and contradictions, in bodies that do not match, in lives that do not fit, in eggs laid against chromosomes. And if you listen closely, you will hear it, the forbidden truth that sex is not 2 doors, but a spectrum. Not a cage, but a river. Not a choice, but a continuum. And maybe that is why it scares us so much. Because when you look at the spectrum, you can't control it. You can't weaponize it. You can't legislate it into silence. You can only surrender. Surrender to the chaos of life, the poetry of biology, the scandal of desire. And in the end, the truth is this: the body is not a binary. It never was. The body is a spectrum. And the spectrum is where truth lives.